Whether you're going alone or with another person, a vacation should never be stressful. At least I don't think so. I mean, why else call it a vacation? A lot of people use their vacations to get away and do things they don't normally do when they're at home. Skiing, swimming, fishing, parasailing, whatever it may be. Now, I don't know where I heard this or if it's even true, but I'm under the impression that most people frown upon the idea of playing video games while on holiday. The argument is that why would you do something you can do when you're at home? You're on vacation. Why not do something out of the ordinary? My answer to that is, why not? Being on vacation is the best time to play video games. I mean, what can be more exciting than playing video games in a whole different environment? It's not every day you get to play with your PS Vita outside the comfort of your home. There are certain games I keep installed on my PS Vita just in case I'm ever on vacation. Whether I'm at a bus stop waiting for my next transfer, the airport terminal, or at my destination on a sandy beach, I know I'll always have a game to relax my mind for the trip ahead. The 10 games I'm about to introduce are perfect for those specific moments. Easy to pick up and play in short bursts or even hour-long sessions. They're great games all around and should be enjoyed even if you're not on vacation. Now, before I begin, I cannot stress this enough. These games can be played anywhere, anytime, any year, and in any century. From my experience, I've found that 2019 seems to be the best year to enjoy them. But hey, you might have better luck in another time period. First up, as you can see, is Resogun. Being a huge fan of shoot-'em-ups growing up as a kid, I always had a soft spot for these kind of games. I think it's because they always remind me of my childhood and all the times I spent playing them in the arcades. In an era where the gaming landscape is littered with first-person shooters and open-world adventure games, it's nice to see a title from years past. Resogun plays like a horizontal shoot-'em-up, except the neat thing here is that you're sort of locked onto a cylinder track, going back and forth as you wish with virtually no limitation. The gameplay is fun and frenetic. The graphics, although not as sharp as its PS4 counterpart, does a good job at displaying cool-looking explosions. Futuristic sound effects also help enhance the gaming experience even further. Some parts remind me of those Transformer movies. You know, the ones with like 3 hours of explosions and like 10 minutes of dialogue? With 3 difficulty settings, Resogun can be as easy or as challenging as you want it to be. The gameplay has been criticized for its short length, which I can sort of agree with. For a console game, it does fall a little short. But for a game to play on the go, its short bite-sized levels fit the bill perfectly. Alright, next up is Darkstalkers Chronicle, the Chaos Tower. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that I'm pretty awful at this game. I'm not going to pretend I know any of the mechanics, story, or character names, but I do enjoy playing through the arcade mode whenever I have a chance. I know a few simple combos here and there, but nothing compared to what I can do in a Street Fighter game. Darkstalkers Chronicle has always been that game where I would go into the arcade mode, play a couple of matches, and then call it a day. And that's fine, because that's all I'm asking for. A game where I can jump in and appreciate some beautiful hand-drawn character sprites and cool-looking animations without feeling obligated to spend hours in practice mode. Visually, I think it's one of the prettiest 2D fighters I've ever seen, even more so than other Capcom games that came out around the same time. I don't think I have quite the affinity for these characters as I do for Street Fighter, but I do think they're more interesting looking with vastly cooler looking moves. Unfortunately, due to its lack of popularity over here in the States, the franchise sort of died off a while ago. Still, I'm holding out hope that one day Capcom will bring back Darkstalkers to a more modern audience. Okay, what else we got here? Pixel Junk Monsters Ultimate HD. Now this game reminds me of being on vacation. Just hearing the music alone puts me in a relaxing mood. It's basically a direct port of Pixel Junk Monsters Deluxe that was released on the PSP. Only this time, it's in glorious HD. And may I say, it looks absolutely beautiful. Definitely worthy of the HD title. If only more PS Vita games could look this good. It plays pretty much identical to what you remember on the PSP, although I did notice how the casual setting feels a lot easier than before. Then again, it has been a while since I last played it on the PSP. Fortunately, the regular difficulty setting feels just right. As with Darkstalkers Chronicle, I'm not the best at these type of games either. If I remember correctly, this might be the only tower defense game I've ever played. I'm not a huge fan of the genre, but I do enjoy listening to the music. It's one of those games where I find myself playing the same level over and over simply because of the relaxing state it puts me in, which is ideal when I'm on vacation, or in bed for that matter. Moving on, we've got Sega Genesis Collection. I really hope by this point you guys know how to transfer a PSP game over to the PS Vita. And if you still don't, I don't know what you're doing on this channel. Just kidding. I think one of the best games you can bring with you on the go has to be Sega Genesis Collection. As the title of the game implies, it's a collection of Sega Genesis games. Now, I'll be honest, I don't play every single one of these games. And to be even more honest, I find myself playing mostly just the first Sonic the Hedgehog. Whenever I'm short on time or know I've only got so long to spend on the toilet, a quick run through Green Hill Zone is all I need. Just to be able to hear that theme song again brings back so many fond memories. But even if you're not a fan of Sonic, don't let that discourage you from trying out the rest of the games offered in this collection. Most of them are quality titles from Sega's heyday. Of course, there are a few stinkers, but those can be fun to play just for the nostalgia alone. I think the best thing about this compilation is that even if you're not a fan of one game, you're pretty much bound to find something you do like. If you grew up with a Sega Genesis, I guarantee you'll find something that catches your attention. Alright, next up. Can you guys guess what it is? If anyone here is into retro gaming on the go, then you should really consider getting a PS Vita. The whole time I'm playing this game, the one thing I kept saying in my head was, wow, I can't believe how good this game looks on the Vita screen. I want to say it looks almost like a remaster of the original. Like everything is just super sharp. Besides being one of the greatest games out there, Mega Man 2 is perfect to have with you on the go. I chose to put this game on the list because it shares a similar trait with the previous games I've mentioned. It's easy to pick up and play, with difficulty that is perfectly balanced and levels short enough that can be completed in a few minutes. Mega Man 2 is exactly what you need when you're waiting to get to your next destination. The only drawback to this PS1 port is that it's in Japanese, but luckily I don't think you'll need to know much in order to enjoy this game. Up next, we've got... oh boy, how did it go again? Machinarium? How many times have I talked about this game already? I'm tempted to just shut up and simply show gameplay footage until it's time to talk about the next game. Let's see, what else can I say about Machinarium? You should probably go check out my review I did on it a while back. And, oh right, I also mentioned it on one of my top 10 videos. You know what I find funny about this game? No matter how many times I talk about it, I'm sure no one here is going to go check it out. Most of the comments I get are usually about Persona 4, Killzone Mercenary, Freedom Wars, or Nintendo Switch. Which is fine, those are great games. It's just that, I don't know. Maybe you guys can give Machinarium a chance. I guess these point-and-click puzzle games just aren't that popular anymore. But still, I think even if you didn't want to play the game, you can just listen to the awesome music that plays in the background. Actually, when I think about it, the music in this game is perfect for listening to while you're lying on the beach. Alright, I think I killed enough time on this one. Let's head over to Metal Slug teknoAXE. I had a friend in high school who was obsessed with these games, and at the time I never knew why. 20 years later and I finally understand the appeal. These games are awesome. This one in particular. It's basically a shoot 'em up but with some platforming thrown in. As the easiest setting implies, you can play this on your lunch break. Or on your vacation, I'm guessing. I mean, why not? Your brain basically goes on cruise control and you sort of just zone out. It's amazing how well the graphics still hold up. If you look closely, you can really see the attention to detail. The way some characters fall over after being defeated, or the animation as they're being set on fire, reminds me of classical hand-drawn 2D sprites that were so prevalent during the late 80s and early 90s. It's one of those games that doesn't really demand much from me mentally. I'm not required to solve mind-bending puzzles or engage in hour-long fetch quests. It's just the right kind of game I play when I want to veg out and kill a couple of minutes. Next up is Flower. This is probably the ultimate game to play on vacation. It's peaceful, it's relaxing, it's simple. The game doesn't require much in terms of objectives. You play as the wind, gathering flower petals. There's no time limit, so you can go at your own pace. There's no crazy explosions going off in the background. There's no horrible zombie outbreak that you have to worry about. It's just you and nature. Flower is special because it makes you feel like you're actually out there in the environment. You can feel the open air that surrounds you as you're flying through the sky. You can feel the warmth of the sun as it's beginning to set in the distance. You can feel the slight breeze right before it's about to rain. If I were to come up with a top 10 list of my all-time favorite games, then Flower would be on it. Originally released on the PS3, then ported over to the PS4, and again brought over to the PS Vita. Available on 3 separate gaming devices, you really don't have any reason left not to play Flower. And now for something completely different. Super Meat Boy. Okay, so for anyone who's ever played this, you know it isn't exactly the most relaxing game. Quite honestly, it's more the opposite. So why is it on the list? Imagine your flight being delayed and you're stuck waiting for a few extra hours. Super Meat Boy is the game that will help make those next few hours fly. It's a platformer where your goal is to reach your target as fast as possible while trying to navigate various obstacles without getting hit. One mistake and you're sent back to the starting point. The great thing here is that if you die, it's an instant respawn to the beginning. The levels are super short, so you won't feel like you've lost much progress even if you do die. It's fun, simple gameplay that's somewhat similar to Rayman Origins, I think. You're given as many tries as you want, so there's really no penalty for dying. There's definitely a learning curve to the controls. Figuring out the distance to a jump will take a few tries, and the game gets insanely difficult the further in you go. But luckily, when the odds seem impossible, you're strangely compelled to keep playing. And finally, we've come to Zen Pinball 2. I used to play Zen Pinball on my PS3, but if I had known it was available on the PS Vita, I would have picked it up a lot sooner. You know what's great about this game, other than the fact that it's fun to play? Each table you play on feels so unique. Whether it's in the art style, the brightly lit colors, or the various sound speeches, each table feels like it was individually crafted to represent that particular franchise. I'm a big fan of Bob's Burgers, and playing the pinball game feels just like I'm watching the TV show. I love hearing speech samples from all the different characters. It makes me realize how funny the show really is. Hearing Tina's voice cracks me up every time. My only complaint with the game was the viewpoint. It was hard to see the entire pinball table. There's various angles you can select, but none I felt looked the way I wanted. That is until I discovered a neat little trick. You guys ready for this? You can flip the PS Vita and play it vertically. Because of this, you get a better view of the entire table. I went from liking the game on PS Vita to loving it on PS Vita. The bottom of the right touchscreen now act as the right and left flippers, which I have to say are very responsive and accurate. There's also other tables you can play on as well. X-Men, Spider-Man, Deadpool, Captain America, as well as other franchises from the Marvel Universe. Alien vs. Predator was a cool one. There are Star Wars, and even South Park. Fallout and Doom also make an appearance. The coolest thing though is that you can try a demo of each one before you make a purchase to see if you like it or not. Of course, there's one table I would like to end this video with. Street Fighter 2. Having played this on the PS3, I was ecstatic when I found out I could bring it over to the PS Vita. If you're a fan of Street Fighter, then you definitely have to pick up this table. The artwork looks beautiful, and the music and sound effects are ripped straight from the arcade game. It's everything a Street Fighter fan could want. Alright guys, it's late, I've run out of things to say, so I'll leave you with this. Vacation is a time to relax and unwind. Don't ever feel obligated to have to do something or go somewhere you don't want to go. If your idea of vacation is sitting at home and playing your favorite video game, then that's your choice. The important thing is that you give your body and mind a rest from the things that really stresses you out. Only then will you ever be on vacation.